was drawn to homeschooling in, I guess, 1994. In 1993, my oldest son, Rob, who was kindergartner at the time, went to the public school in Charleston, South Carolina. I discovered within weeks that it was mediocrity. It was the warehousing of children. I saw him get on the big yellow bus, and everyone was catatonic. They just kind of, you watch them drive by, and they're going to go and spend the whole day in this
prison
building, dungeon, brick building, crowded classrooms, 29 students. So I spent a year researching homeschooling and interviewing people. At that time, Christina was a baby, so my house, I felt it was chaotic. I could never take on homeschooling. I was intimidated to think, homeschooling, I'm responsible for the education of these children, having 4 children. Well, after a year went by and I saw what Robbie went through, I decided to take the leap and homeschool. And so what did my first year look like? My first year, I burned out because I tried to be a teacher and bring the school curriculum into my house and act like a teacher, have lessons, have certain times of day. You must do penmanship, you must do mathematics. Meanwhile, it was a little chaotic. I was ignoring the little kids, and it just was too much on me. But I really liked homeschooling. So the second year that we homeschooled, I think I just let everything just be loose and wild, and that felt chaotic. My third year was my best year because I had a combination of giving children freedom along with giving a little bit of structure. And then as time went on, our family just veered into what I call unschooling.
Woohoo!
And I was kind of an underground unschooler because even within the homeschool community, there are expectations, there's conformity. What curriculum do you use?
Judgmental.
There's this, you should be doing this or that, and how do you explain that you just kind of let your kids run loose? Are they truant? Are they vagrant? Are they dumb? Are they just not going to get anything? But I trust in a human being's ability to learn on their own, that they will pick up and learn, even young children. So I kind of was sort of underground. I also decided not to report to the state. And I, again, had to keep secrets from other homeschoolers lest I be judged.
Because do you think they're going to call in on you and say, oh, Lynn Griesmer,
yeah,
go knock on her door? Like,
turn me in. Okay, so each state has different laws. And maybe I didn't really agree with the law.
Should I not post this on YouTube? Are they going to, like,
you can post it on YouTube. I encourage people to break the law if they need. Okay, my philosophies are, I'm in charge. I'm no dummy. I have a master's degree. I know a lot about learning. I know a lot about teaching. I'm not a professional school teacher, but I do know a lot about learning. And we really, as adults, we learn when we're ready, when the mind is ready. We learn what we want to learn, and we can pick something up and focus in and learn it faster than any curriculum spews out to you. I really feel like a curriculum is disrespectful and almost child abuse. I know this sounds radical. However, let's get back to the reporting to the state. I believe that the parents do have the right to raise their children how they see fit. Now, of course, everyone will go, oh, but they're going to watch TV all day, they're going to run around, they're going to eat cookies, blah, blah, blah. Well, sure, we had some of that going on in our household. Sure. But the kids had the freedom to explore who they were, what they wanted to study, what they were. They had time to mull over life and themselves, and grew up confidently, I think. And so let's talk about you, Melanie. Melanie always loved crafts and arts, putting on puppet shows.
Puppet shows.
Puppet shows.
That.
It warmed my heart to see Melanie, who was like a 3rd grade student, get her little sisters together, put out a little cup. Okay, 25 cents for an art class, and I'm going to teach you art. Now, any person learns a lot when they teach the class. So here I was busy with the baby, and she was off teaching art classes to Christina and Hillary, and probably not Millicent, Christina and Hillary at the time. And then there were other times that Melanie just created your own ideas, and you went to the computer and you made up little math pages for Millicent. Remember that? You were teaching her
I
math.
don't remember that. Math? I was so bad at math.
Yeah, but
Are you sure that was
but
me?
1 + 1, yeah, you were making worksheets for her, and you were organized. You were very organized. So, and I wasn't that organized. So, it's a give and take. The whole homeschool lifestyle was wonderful. I could talk many different instances. I'll give another example. Robbie, at the high school level, other structured homeschoolers were concerned, how does Robbie know? I didn't realize Robbie knew so much history. You're not really teaching him history. And I thought to myself, he has a library card. He liked Vietnam War. Well, he didn't like it, but he was interested in certain historical facets, subjects. So he honed in and he read and he taught himself.
Oh, yeah. Do you
What's
remember
wrong with reading
those
to
books?
teach yourself? What books?
Wait, let me show this. We have these books. I actually saw this. This is like from my childhood. See these blue books? We used to go to the library, John F. Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember these? I
Yes.
loved these.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a whole book, and I would go to the library and I would just pick out a different person every week and be like, oh, I'm going to learn about this person. And it tells you just kind of stories about them, who they are, childhood, their story. Anyways.
Library is your school. I was always big on field trips. We did group activities. We did various co-ops. I liked informal learning and informal co-ops. As the kids got older, all right, so our homeschooling journey started in 1994. Robbie homeschooled from first grade all the way through high school. We had the right resources in the high school years. He seemed to like homeschooling. And he is an advocate of homeschooling, and he would recommend it, and he thought it was pretty good upbringing. I think he would agree with that. My next 4 daughters decided after homeschooling, after 8th grade, to go to the public school, and I supported that. That's another topic we can discuss. At what point is the parent in charge and making decisions for the child's education, or is the child in charge, or are you work it out together? And I remember one time, Melanie, you at 5th grade,
Oh my gosh,
in 5th
I
grade,
remember
you
this.
kind of wanted to go to school because everyone in the neighborhood was going, and what was I missing? And so Dad and I brought you out to dinner, and we pretty much bribed you. So at 8th grade, you went to high school, 9th grade. And let me see, Mikey was different. He homeschooled like kindergarten, 1st grade. Then he wasn't learning to read, and I was getting nervous. So he went to school, traditional elementary school, 1st to 3rd grade, and he actually asked me. He told me at the age of 9, Mom, school robs your soul, or something like
my
that.
gosh.
He knew it was disrespectful. It was curriculum, it was impersonal, it was conforming, and it held him back. So then we homeschooled up through 8th grade.
Do you remember that story he said about the kid who...
Oh,
he
yes,
was, like,
there's
in the
this little
beginning
boy,
of the year?
Alex.
Yes.
This little boy, Alex, his behavior was a little more extroverted and talkative. Well,
Expressive.
a teacher has to control children and have them do seat work and sit in their seats and not be disruptive. When a teacher has a classroom of 25 children, you can't have someone breaking the mold. So Alex was this kid he was jumpy, and he would kind of read on his own because he was bored in school. And one day Mikey noticed the teacher told Alex, stop reading, put that away, pull out your workbook and do what you have to do. And so Alex would just kind of be defeated, and Alex turned into a quiet kid. And Mikey said something like, school robs your soul. For example, Alex wanted to read, and then he just gave up. And Robbie
so
noticed
sad.
at 9 years old.
You mean Mikey?
I mean Mikey, yeah, Mikey. So the theorists that I liked in the 1990s was John Holt, John Taylor Gatto, Pat Ferenga, Moore, Dorothy, and I forgot his name. Moore. It started with an R. Oh, what's his name? Robert. Anyways, so homeschooling works. The best situation, I'm very intrigued with the families who are able to unschool, and the kids turn out to be entrepreneurs. They're high achieving, they pick what they want, they form their own businesses, they don't even need to go to college, and they form businesses. But that's unusual, and we should not compare ourselves to other families. I sort of fell into a trap of comparing myself. Oh, this family is doing so much more. Oh, this mom is a super high achiever and superwoman, and she's just getting so much done with her 6, 7, 8, 9 kids.
They do so
And,
much, but how happy are and like content
I don't know.
and why?
I
you
don't.
know?
We'll never know how happy
I
and
don't
content.
know.
The point is,
I feel like
don't
they're just
compare
stressed out.
yourself. Don't compare yourself. Every family is different. Every child is different. A good thing about homeschooling is every person, every individual is different, and the mom loves the child. So we are looking out for the best interest of our kids as we raise them. I think that every public school teacher or aspiring teacher should really do some research on what is homeschooling, what is learning, because you will find, and homeschooling is not all about, oh, they get the highest test scores. Oh, life is not about
do test
Oh yeah,
scores.
we didn't do much testing. I only
People
did,
are like, what standardized tests are you guys gonna use? I didn't even know. I was like, what? Standardized tests? What is that? Like, I don't even
or
know
what
that
grade are you in? My kids might have not have known what
I
grade
didn't
they're
know what
in.
grade I
And
was
sometimes I would have to coach my kids before we went to see relatives to kind of, remind them what grade they're in,
Oh gosh,
or
do you
to
remember?
sort of lie.
Our neighbors used to be like all the time in South Carolina. People would be like, "So Melanie, what's your favorite subject?
Yeah,
what
what
are
are
you
you
learning in
studying?"
school?" Like the neighborhood
They would
parent.
quiz you.
And I'm like, "What? Like what?" And they kind of like giggled. Like I remember we went to one house and the dad was sitting on a couch with like a friend who was over. I bet they were talking before I got there. Like, "Oh, the neighborhood kids are homeschoolers. Let's like talk to them." And
Yeah.
they were kind of like giggling and smirking in the other room, like, "So Melanie, like." Blah, 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 like asking me questions about school and stuff,
Yeah.
because they're probably like, the Griezmanns just run around all day and don't do anything, and their kids are just vagrants.
And it's true. And we did. We had
And
a lot
I
of fun.
sense this from a very young age, and I think they don't realize that I pick up on this, but
Kids
I like
pick
knew
up-
their little agenda. Oh, what's your favorite subject? Is this passive aggressive questions?
It was, and it was
Different
just they
motives.
didn't understand it. They're laughing at you. They're making fun of you.
Yeah.
And hey, we would go to the beach a couple times a week. We were 25 minutes from the beach. I had it down to a science. Car was packed. Got up, left the house at 8:30. Was on the beach at 9. Had lunch. Got home at 12:30 in the afternoon. Some kids took a nap. You could still give you time to do a little work during the day. Another thing with homeschooling is you can probably do in 2 hours what the kid has dragged out in the school day from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. because you just focused on what you have to do. You don't have to wait in line, raise your hand, have the teacher have 25 people ready to go. So every school technique has its pluses and its minuses. My homeschooling wasn't perfect, but I would encourage people who are thinking about it to do it. I would do it again. I hope my kids choose it. I wish my parents chose it for me. It's just it's a fun way to grow up. Kids get to do things together. Christina and Millie would get on their bikes and go to the library. Sometimes you'd be out in public at 10 or 11 in the morning and at a grocery store. Shouldn't these kids be in school? Oh, we
Nosy
homeschool.
Southern
Nosy
people.
people.
Small town.
But nowadays homeschooling is so common that people, maybe you're out having an appointment or whatever, but I loved homeschooling and I would do it again and I would recommend it. It just was a fun way to grow up. One thing I wanted to say is we can go to Google and learn facts. Why, when you think about it, what do you remember? The facts you learned K through 12 and then even in college, they changed. The world is changing. People used slide rules, then they used calculators. Now, just the math has changed and technology has progressed so much. So we can go and learn facts on our own. We don't need to sit in a class and memorize facts because really then we forget them. So we really waste a lot of time, I think. We need to have time and space to think. We need time to interact with others in meaningful projects. So sometimes they think when you're in the classroom, you're going to work on meaningful projects with children. But lots of times you're sitting there at your desk looking at the teacher who's going to lecture and they don't want you to interact. You have to be quiet and learn. So I think the criticism is overrated that you have more socialization in the classroom versus at home. We did field trips, we did co-ops, and he interacted with children, and they were small groups. The small group was much better than having 30 kids in a class. Each child has to decide private school, homeschool, public school. I support them all, whatever the family wants to do. I do not have any animosity about different education systems. They serve different children at different points in their lifetime.